Tokenizing is something that seems to be a problem among modern comics. It seems to happen more so with live action depictions of comic book characters. What I mean by tokenizing generally references two different things. One, having a character exist in a setting solely because he or she is black or something like that, thus resulting in like undeveloped, lousy characters. And two, which is the main thing I refer to, is when established characters have their race, gender, or sexuality changed. I did a top 3 black Marvel characters that should be expanded upon video, and people seem to like it. I'm going to expand on that list. I do have some more characters, but I wanted to go first through 4 black characters that DC should either expand on or utilize instead of tokenizing the white characters. It's important to highlight that these lists have to consist of like original black characters. This is why guys like John Stewart won't be there, though it makes sense to have multiple Green Lanterns. He's not the first that we were introduced to. I'm also not going to use the Milestone Media characters, as I want to save those for a different video, so no Icon or Static Shock or anything like that. Let's get into it. Coming in at number 4 is Fatality. She was Star Sapphire for a little bit, but her name is Yerison Real. She's not black in like the typical descendant of Africa because she is an alien from Xanshi, but she does have black skin. So it's sort of like the Superman thing, being an alien but being white. She's an alien and she's black. She initially was a villain, as John Stewart's Green Lantern was said to be the one responsible for destroying her planet. And that's why she vowed to get revenge upon the Green Lantern Corps. So she's bounced around between like being bad, being good, and even a love interest of John Stewart. As far as her power base, it ultimately depends on which version that we are talking about, but she does possess that strength and speed that far exceeds the human Earthling. Coming in at number 3 is Jet. Now, Jet is dead and we haven't heard from her in a decade, but I thought she was always this interesting character, as I was first introduced to her being a member of the Global Guardians. Jet's real name is Cecilia Windward, and she's Jamaican. She has the power of electromagnetism, and the Guardians of the Universe, the people that created the Green Lantern Corps, selected her to be a new Guardian as they were looking for their successors. I do feel like this character was underdeveloped and they killed her off entirely too early. They briefly brought her back, but we haven't really heard from her in a while. She actually ended up contracting HIV from fighting the villain Hemogoblin, which proved to be a part of her demise. That element alone really has some shock value, some sort of relevancy that I think could have been interesting to see play out in live action films. Nonetheless, I do feel like this was a cool character that DC has clearly opted to neglect. At number 2 is Dr. Miss. Dr. Miss actually at one point led the Global Guardians with Jet. Nomo Balawa is an African emperor from Kor who has lived for over 10,000 years. Like many different characters, I think the new 52 rebooted version of him was just flat out trash. But the older version of him was interesting, as he is a sorcerer, so therefore his power, aside from his immortality, stems from magic. Dr. Miss is yet another underdeveloped character. Magicians tend to really cross over well to live action depictions, so I love to see something with him in it, but I would certainly like to see him get back to his roots, as the version that exists post like New 52 era just isn't really doing this character justice. I do think that DC sitting on a gold mine with the character. It would also seem obvious to have some sort of Global Guardians movie or show, as they have numerous black characters such as Jet, Dr. Miss, and Freedom Beast, which isn't on this list. And coming in at number 1, Hotspot. Hotspot, aka Isaiah Crockett, is not as neglected currently as the others. He was one of the first black characters I discovered as a kid in the 90s as a member of that off-brand sort of Teen Titans team. Hotspot went by some other names, and he is half alien, half human. The alien race stems from a son, Natal. This is the reason why he has the thermokinetic sort of powers. I think the artists have done some decent jobs with his suits and costumes, no matter who he was, under what alias, what have you. The reason why I say he's not currently as neglected as the other characters is because he's appeared recently in Sideways, which leads me to believe that they are going to expand on him. He is also one of the heroes that get killed at the Sanctuary, if you're following the current Heroes in Crisis run of DC Comics. So he may be dead or comic book dead. While I'll admit the whole thermo pyro thing isn't really the most original of powers, I still think there's a lot that can be expanded upon with this character. He's not the most interesting of characters on this list per se, but he does appear as a more modernized brother, and I hope videos as such really incentivizes DC to actually stick to him and keep expanding upon him. So that'll wrap it up. Yes, there are other black characters that are entirely more popular. This wasn't a list of the best black characters. This is a list of the ones that they should expand upon, that DC is really sitting on right now. Characters like Cyborg and Black Lightning are getting a bunch of love, which is cool to see. And DC has created a couple of black characters within a decade, such as John Diggle. I'd argue that Diggle and the TV show are about the only things good to really come out of the New 52 era. However, DC is also tokenizing established characters as well. I believe Jussie Smollett's sister is playing Black Canary, the upcoming Birds of Prey, which is such a useless retcon of the character. For some odd reason, mainstream comic book companies sit on the black characters that they have and don't want to put in the work to really develop these characters like they've done the other ones. So instead, they tokenize the white established characters. Sloppy seconds. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time, man, y'all be easy.